Good morning, students. This will be the seventh session on the chapter directing. And in this session, I'm going to continue with communication first. So, continue with the topic communication, and the next subtopic under communication will be steps in the process of communication. Subtopic number C under communication will be steps in the process of communication. So within brackets write page number 266. You check the page number of your textbook and write the page number and mark this topic very important. Give double star mark. Mark the topic very important. The communication process or steps involved in the process of communication. So first listen that communication itself is a process which has to be carried out through a number of steps. And these steps are to be executed one after the other in a definite sequence. So the process of communication is completed by a number of steps, and these steps are to be carried out one after the other in a definite sequence. So first see the diagram which is given in your textbook under steps in the process of communication. You can see that it's a box diagram. Inside every box, the name of the step is given. The first step is the sender. The sender is the person, the communicator. He is also called the communicator. He initiates the process of communication. The idea of sending some information, either in the form of a message or suggestion, opinion, instruction, order, whatever it is. The idea first germinates in the mind of the sender to convey a particular message to someone else. So sender is the person who initiates the process of communication. Now after he thinks of the idea to convey something to someone, he prepares the message either in writing or he can communicate verbally. So the message is then prepared. The message contains the subject matter of communication, the matter which is to be communicated. So the message is then is made ready by the sender. Once the message is ready, now if that particular message, especially in a commercial setup, if that particular information or message which is to be conveyed is very confidential, is very important and confidential, and it should not go into wrong hands. So the sender then will take the trouble of encoding the message, which is the third step in the process of communication, encoding the message. He will use such language or even sometimes symbols, signs, etc. to cover the message in such a manner which will be understandable by the receiver of the message only and no one else. Because it is the receiver only who knows that particular code language. So encoding the message means covering the message in the form of code languages, signs, symbols, etc., which the receiver, the communicative, only will be able to understand. So that is encoding the message. After the message has been encoded, fourth step in the process of communication is that the sender, the communicator, will now select a proper channel, a proper route by which or through which he will be sending this message to the communicatee. So the channel of communication is chosen. After the channel is selected, the message flows through that channel from the sender to the receiver. From the sender to the receiver. The receiver accepts the message. The next step in the process of communication, receiver. The receiver receives the message from the sender through the channel, and he reads the message now. Now, while reading the message, if he sees that the message has been encoded already by the receiver, by the sender, then the second step of communication will be decoding the message. Decoding. The receiver, after receiving the message, if the message has already been encoded by the sender, he will have to take the trouble of decoding the message, deciphering the message, and translate the message into a language, into a proper language. Okay? The signs and symbols, the code language will be now deciphered and read by the receiver. So this is called decoding the message. So after the message has been decoded by the receiver and he has read the message and understood it, comprehended the message, he will send his response or reaction back to the sender and let the sender know that whether he has understood the message or not understood the message, or whether he has partially understood the message or partially not understood the message. So he will give a reaction or response to that effect back to the sender. And that response or reaction which the receiver of the message sends to the sender is called a feedback. The receiver, after decoding the message, after reading it, he will send a feedback to the sender, letting the sender know, to let the sender know that whether he has understood the message or not. So these are the steps which are involved in the process of communication. The arrows are very important. See the arrows which are connecting the steps one after the other in the diagram. So when you are asked this question in your examination, most probably it will be a question of 5 marks. That the question will be, describe the different steps involved in the process of communication, or explain the different steps involved in the process of communication. So when you get a question like this carrying 4 to 5 marks in your examination, first of all draw the diagram with the arrows connecting the steps one after the other. The flow of arrows is very important. First draw the diagram. Inside every box, give the name of the steps: sender, message, encoding, channel, receiver, decoding, feedback. Draw the diagram, give the caption below, the label, process of communication or the communication process, and after that start explaining each step one after the other after the diagram. So open the bracket from the first sentence, steps in the process of communication, and underline it. Open the bracket from the heading itself, steps in the process of communication, and underline it. The process of communication consists of the following steps or elements. Give a colon. Number 1, sender. Point headings must be written. The first step in the process of communication is the sender. The process of communication initiates with the sender. The sender is also called a communicator. He is the person who sends a message or an idea. He is the source. He is the source of communication. Communication starts from the sender, and he initiates the process of communication. A sender may be a speaker, a writer, or an actor. A sender, when he sends a message in writing, he becomes a writer. If he conveys the message verbally, he becomes a speaker orally. And if he conveys the message through his, gestures and postures, he becomes an actor. So a sender may be a speaker, a writer, or an actor. Number 2, message. The step number 2, message is what is conveyed by the sender. It is the subject matter of communication. So message is what is conveyed by the sender. It consists of words, facts, ideas, opinions, etc. It is the subject matter of communication. Number 3, once the message is ready, comes encoding. It is the use of, what is encoding? It is the use of appropriate. You can get small objective questions like, what is meant by encoding? What do you understand by decoding? What is the feedback in the process of communication? Objective questions of 2 marks can be set from these different steps as well. So what is encoding? It is the use of appropriate verbal or non-verbal language for transmitting the message. In order to transmit the idea, the sender translates the idea into a language consisting of words, even symbols or gestures, which is known to both the parties. Number 4, channel. Once the message has been coded, it has been encoded. Now, the communicator, the sender, will select a proper channel of communication. The channel is a medium or route, a path through which the message is passed from the sender to the receiver. It may be a face-to-face conversation, a telephonic discussion. It can be sent, the channel can be a letter, the channel can be a telephone, a channel can be a radio, television. After television, give an arrow and write, give a comma, give an arrow and write email, which is the most popular form of transmitting messages these days. Email, television, comma, email, comma, etc. Receiver. The message is now received by the receiver through that channel. Receiver is also called a communicatee. He is the person or group who is supposed to receive the message. The receiver may be a listener, a reader, or an observer. If the sender has sent the message orally, then the receiver becomes a listener. If the message has been sent in writing, the receiver becomes a reader. And if the message is conveyed through acting, the receiver becomes an observer. So after the receiver has received the message, then comes the next step of communication, which is decoding. So what is decoding? It means translating the message into words for the purpose of understanding. The code language, the symbols and signs which have been used by the communicator for encoding the message will be now decoded, deciphered, decoded by the communicatee for the purpose of proper understanding. The receiver interprets the message. He reads, interprets and understands the message to derive its actual meaning. And once that is done, the receiver has decoded the message, gone through read it and has understood it. He will send the last step of communication, that the receiver will now send a feedback, a response or reaction back to the sender to let the sender know that how far he has understood the message. So that's a feedback. What is a feedback? 2-mark question. It can come as a separate 2-mark objective question. What is a feedback in the process of communication? So a feedback is the response or reaction. After reaction, give an arrow and write given or sent, S-E-N-T, sent. It is the response or reaction sent by the receiver to the sender. After receiver, cancel the full stop, give an arrow and write at the top, to the sender. So the sentence will be, it is the response or reaction. This is the definition of feedback, meaning of feedback. It is the response or reaction sent by the receiver to the sender, full stop. It represents the return flow of communication with the help of with the help of a feedback. The sender, cancel the word reader and write sender, cancel the word reader and write sender. The sender can judge the effectiveness of his message. How far the message which has been sent to the communicatee, the receiver, has been successful or effective, that can be judged. The effectiveness of the message can be judged with the help of the feedback, which is sent by the communicatee. So with the help of a feedback, the sender can judge the effectiveness of his message. Without it, without the feedback, the process of communication remains incomplete. So close the bracket after point number 7. So these are the different steps which are involved in the process of communication. And these steps are to be carried out in the same definite order, in that same sequence, one after the other, as discussed or shown in the diagram. You cannot alter or you cannot change the sequence of steps. Mark this topic very important. The next topic of discussion under communication is, next subtopic, give the heading Objectives of Communication. Objectives of Communication. Within brackets, page number 267. You check the page number of your textbook and write the number. So open the bracket from Objectives of Communication and underline it. Objectives of Communication, open the bracket and underline it. So let us now go through one by one that what are the major objectives of communication, especially within a commercial organization. Number 1, to educate and train people. Communication is required, necessarily required, to train the new workers and employees of an organization. Because whenever a fresher is taken as an employee, as a worker of the organization who does not have much prior experience, training becomes very important. That particular person has to be now trained, and that training is imparted by the employer. And for imparting training, communication will be required. So the first purpose, the main purpose of communication is to educate and train people in a commercial organization. So business firms use various methods of communication to educate workers and consumers. They issue orders and instructions to employees so that they may perform their jobs efficiently. So communication is continuously used and required by the managers to issue orders and instructions to the subordinates so that the subordinates, the employees, continue to perform their jobs efficiently without any confusion. Consumers are also provided information about new products and their uses. An organization also uses communication tools like advertising, which is a tool of mass communication. So consumers are provided information by the organization about the new products and their uses through communication. Second objective of communication is to motivate employees. Good managers use this tool of communication very effectively to inspire and motivate the subordinates working under them, to mold their behavior, attitudes, motivate them, inspire them, show them the right track. So communication seeks to make employees interested in their duties and in the company as a whole. Managers inspire workers to work hard towards the achievement of organizational objectives. Managers motivate, inspire workers. How can this be done? Only with the help of communication. So good managers try to motivate, inspire the workers to work harder towards the accomplishment of the organizational goals. Good communication can mold, can influence employees' behavior and create cordial industrial relations. Good communication has the power to even mold and influence the behavior and attitudes of the employees and create mutual understanding, good understanding between the management and the workers. It provides information. Communication provides information and instills in each employee a sense of pride in the job. It also reflects management's interest in employees. The nature of communication in an organization also reflects how much interest the management is taking in its workers and employees. Number 3, to promote managerial efficiency. Whenever you are discussing objectives of something, the point heading must start with the word to. To promote managerial efficiency, communication is required, used by the managers to promote, to develop their efficiency as well. So communication aims at improving the efficiency of management. Managers provide guidance to employees through communication. Number 4, to implement decisions quickly. In case of an emergency, when a decision has to be taken immediately to deal with that emergency. It is through communication that the decisions can be implemented very quickly to handle the emergency. So effective communication is designed to implement decisions quickly. Effective communication can help an organization to implement a decision instantly, immediately in the work process, especially in emergent situations, in cases of emergency. Subordinates understand managerial decisions and take steps to implement them through communication. It is through communication that the workers, the subordinates, they understand the policies and decisions taken by the management and execute the policies in reality after understanding them. To facilitate leadership, the effectiveness of leaders depends upon their communication skills, which we discussed in the last part as well, that a good leader must essentially be a good communicator. So the effectiveness of the leaders, the acceptance and effectiveness of the leaders depends solely upon their communication skills. Unless he is a good communicator, he cannot be a good leader. So personal communication helps managers in maintaining man-to-man relationships. Communication is also required to carry out and implement changes in an organization whenever such changes are required to be made. So free flow of ideas and information reduces workers' resistance to new technology and other changes. If the management can make the workers understand the benefit of implementing some new technology or bringing about a particular change in the organization, then the workers are not going to put up a big resistance against that particular change. The thing is that the benefit of bringing about these changes must be explained in clear terms to the workers, to the subordinates. And that is done, that can be done very well with the help of good communication. Management has to continuously communicate, talk to the workers, the trade union leaders, okay, representatives of the workers, continuously to make them understand properly that why the management is taking the decision to bring about this change in the organization. The benefits must be properly explained to them. So free flow of ideas and information reduces workers' resistance to new technology and other changes. It makes new ideas acceptable to people and they adapt more quickly to the changing circumstances. Close the bracket after point number 6. The remaining 2 points are not required. So these are the main objectives of communication, especially for a commercial organization. So I'm going to end this session over here. In the next session, I'm going to take up the last part of communication, which is barriers to communication, obstacles in the process of communication, and how these obstacles can be removed by taking suitable measures. So that's something which I am going to discuss in the next session. Till then, goodbye.